In the mystical realm of Kana, where angels, mermaids, and magicians coexist, a legendary book known as the Tome of the Seven Realms has been hidden for centuries. This ancient text holds the secrets of the universe and the keys to unlocking powers. Rumors whisper that the book is hidden within the Money Kingdom, a realm ruled by a ruthless King Midas, who will stop at nothing to possess the book's power. In the underwater kingdom of Aquaria, a young mermaid named Lyra discovers a map hidden on an ancient shell, leading her to the book. Unbeknownst to Lyra, she is being watched by a fallen angel named Kale, who has been sent by Satan himself to claim the book and bring about a new era of darkness. As Lyra moves treacherous ocean currents and avoids deadly sea creatures, she meets a mysterious magician named Elijah, who possesses knowledge of the ancient arts and offers to help Lyra in her quest. Meanwhile, in the depths of hell, Satan bonds an unholy alliance with the Witches' Coven, who seek to exploit the book's power to gain control over the mortal realm. Lyra, the young mermaid, stood at the edge of the cane forest, her shimmering scales catching the faint moonlight. She gazed out at the ocean, her heart racing with excitement. The map urging her to embark on this perilous quest. Elijah, the mysterious magician, appeared beside her. "The journey will be treacherous, Lyra," he warned, his voice low and soothing. "But with my guidance, we can navigate the dangers and reach the Money Kingdom." Lyra nodded, her determination evident in her voice. "I'm ready. Let's begin." As they set off, a dark shape watched from the shadows, Kale, the fallen angel, his eyes burning with an inner fire. He knew that Lyra and Elijah were no match for the dangers that lay ahead, and he was determined to claim the book for himself. Their journey took them through treacherous underwater caverns, past schools of razor-toothed sharks, and over vast expanses of open ocean. Along the way, they encountered crew of creatures, some friendly, others deadly. As they navigated the twists and turns of their path, Lyra began to realize that Elijah was hiding secrets of his own. His mastery of the ancient arts was undeniable, but there was something more to him, something that hinted at a deeper connection to the mysterious forces they were seeking to unlock. Meanwhile, Kale was closing in, his powers growing stronger with each passing moment. He could feel the book's energy calling to him, drawing him closer to his ultimate goal. After many long days and sleepless nights, Lyra, Elijah, and their companions finally caught sight of the Money Kingdom's glittering spires. The air was thick with the scent of gold and greed, and Lyra could feel the weight of the kingdom's corruption bearing down upon her. As they approached the kingdom's gates, a figure emerged from the shadows, his eyes blazing with malevolent intent. It was King Midas himself, his voice dripping with malice as he welcomed Lyra and Elijah to his domain. "Ah, the little mermaid and her magician friend," he sneered, his gaze lingering on Lyra's shimmering scales. "I've been expecting you. You're just in time to witness the unveiling of my latest acquisition, the Forbidden Tome of the Seven Realms." Lyra's heart sank, and Elijah's eyes narrowed, his grip on his staff tightening. They knew that they had to act fast, or risk losing the tome to the forces of darkness. Lyra, Elijah, and their companions hatched a plan to infiltrate the Money Kingdom's treasury, where the Forbidden Tome was being kept. They would need to navigate the kingdom's deadly traps, avoid the guards, and face King Midas himself. Under the cover of night, they snuck into the treasury, their hearts racing with anticipation. Lyra used her mermaid agility to slip past the guards, while Elijah employed his magical prowess to disable the traps. As they reached the inner sanctum, they found the Forbidden Tome displayed on a pedestal, surrounded by a halo of dark energy. King Midas appeared, his eyes blazing with fury. "Fools," he spat. "You think you can steal from me? I'll show you the true meaning of power." Elijah raised his staff, and a blast of magical energy shot towards King Midas. But the king was prepared, and with a wave of his hand, he summoned a horde of golden minions to attack Elijah. Lyra seized the opportunity to grab the book, but as she touched its cover, she felt a sudden surge of dark energy coursing through her veins. The forbidden book began to glow with an otherworldly light, and Lyra felt herself being pulled into its depths. She saw visions visions of ancient civilizations, powerful magical artifacts, and forbidden knowledge. But she also saw a terrible truth: the tome was not just a simple book, but a key to unlocking the secrets of the universe. And those who possessed it would be granted unimaginable power. Lyra knew that the forbidden book power was too great for anyone to wield. She realized that destroying it would be the only way to prevent its dark energy from consuming everything. With a heavy heart, Lyra made the difficult decision to sacrifice the tome's power. She focused all her energy on destroying the book, but the dark energy within it resisted fiercely. Elijah, sensing Lyra's struggle, joined forces with her, channeling his magical powers to aid in the destruction of the book. Together, they managed to weaken the book's defenses. In a final, desperate bid to destroy the book, Lyra and Elijah combined their powers, unleashing a blast of energy that shattered the book into 1,000 pieces. The dark energy released by the book's destruction sent shockwaves throughout the Money Kingdom. King Midas, realizing his plan had been foiled, let out a deafening roar, causing the kingdom's structures to tremble. As the dust settled, Lyra and Elijah stood victorious, but at great personal cost. Lyra had sacrificed her connection to the tome's power, while Elijah had exhausted his magical energies. Kale, the fallen angel, appeared, his eyes gleaming with a mixture of admiration and disappointment. "You have passed the test," he said, his voice low and gravelly. "But be warned, Lyra, your actions have consequences. The balance of power has shifted, and the forces of darkness will not take this lying down." As Lyra and Elijah caught their breath, a figure emerged from the shadows. He was tall, with piercing blue eyes and jet-black hair that fell to his shoulders. His presence seemed to draw the air out of the room, leaving only an unsettling feeling of dread. "Allow me to introduce myself," he said, his voice low and menacing. "I am Malachi, the right hand of the Shadow King. And with the forbidden tome destroyed, the balance of power has shifted in our favor." Malachi's eyes locked onto Lyra, and he smiled, revealing razor-sharp teeth. "You, little mermaid, have done us a great service. The tome's destruction has cleared the path for our master's return." Elijah stepped forward. "We won't let that happen," he growled. Malachi chuckled, the sound sending shivers down Lyra's spine. "You are no match for the Shadow King's power," he sneered. "But I will give you credit, you have spirit. And that spirit will make your downfall all the more entertaining." With that, Malachi vanished into thin air, leaving Lyra and Elijah staring at each other in alarm. Lyra and Elijah knew they had to act fast to prevent the Shadow King's return. Despite their differences, they decided to put aside their mistrust and form an unlikely alliance. As they walked through the deserted streets of the Money Kingdom, Lyra turned to Elijah and asked, "What do you know about the Shadow King?" Elijah's expression turned grim. "The Shadow King is an ancient being of darkness, said to have been imprisoned eons ago. His return would bring about a catastrophic era of darkness and shadow." Lyra's eyes widened in alarm. "We can't let that happen. What's our plan?" Elijah smiled, a hint of mischief in his eyes. "I've been thinking, we need to gather a group of allies, each with their unique skills and strengths. Together, we can stop the Shadow King's return and save our worlds." Lyra nodded, determination burning within her. "I'm in. Who's our first recruit?" Elijah grinned. "I have just the person in mind, someone with a talent for thievery and a penchant for danger." He led Lyra to a seedy tavern on the outskirts of the kingdom, where they found a hooded figure huddled in the corner, sipping a mug of ale. The figure looked up, revealing a striking young woman with piercing green eyes and jet-black hair. With Arachne on board, the trio set out to recruit more allies. Their first stop was the Wizard's Tower, a mystical spire that pierced the clouds. They sought out the wise and powerful wizard, Zephyr. As they entered the tower, they were greeted by a whirlwind of papers, scrolls, and strange artifacts. Zephyr, a wild-haired wizard with spectacles perched on the end of his nose, looked up from his work. "Ah, Elijah. Lyra. Arachne. What brings you to my humble abode? Elijah explained their mission, and Zephyr's eyes sparkled with interest. I'm in. My expertise in elemental magic will come in handy against the Shadow King's minions. Next, they traveled to the underworld, seeking out a rogue demon named Korra. Korra, a fierce warrior with horns and scales, was initially hesitant to join their cause. However, after hearing their plan, she agreed to lend her strength to their mission. The team was coming together, but they still needed one more member. As they regrouped, Elijah mentioned a mysterious figure, a shadowy assassin known only as the Ghost. Rumors whispered that the Ghost was a master of stealth and deception, with unparalleled skills in infiltration and sabotage. Arachne's eyes lit up. I know someone who might be able to help us find the Ghost. Korra, with her extensive network of underworld contacts, agreed to help the team track down the Ghost. However, she warned them that it wouldn't be easy, and that they would have to owe her a favor in return. Elijah, Lyra, and Arachne exchanged uneasy glances, but they knew they had no other choice. They agreed to Korra's terms, and she set off to make the necessary arrangements. Hours passed, and the team waited anxiously for Korra's return. Finally, she emerged from the shadows, a sly smile spreading across her face. I found the Ghost, she said, her voice dripping with satisfaction. But, as I warned you, it's going to cost you. Are you prepared to pay the price? Elijah hesitated, unsure of what to do. But Lyra stepped forward, her determination evident in her voice. We'll do it, she said. We need the Ghost's skills to stop the Shadow King. What do we have to do? Korra's smile grew wider. You'll need to retrieve a valuable artifact from the underworld's most notorious thief, Asgaroth. If you succeed, the Ghost will join your cause. The team exchanged worried glances. They knew that stealing from Asgaroth would be a perilous task, but they also knew they had no other choice. Elijah, confident in his magical abilities, decided to take a different approach. He proposed a negotiation with Asgaroth, hoping to persuade the notorious thief to hand over the artifact willingly. The team was skeptical, but Elijah was undeterred. He led them to Asgaroth's fortress, a towering structure built into the side of a volcanic mountain. As they entered the fortress, they were greeted by Asgaroth himself, a suave and charismatic figure with a quick wit and a silver tongue. Ah, Elijah, the infamous magician, Asgaroth said, his eyes glinting with amusement. I've heard a lot about you. What brings you to my humble abode? Elijah smiled, launching into a charming and persuasive speech. He offered Asgaroth a trade. In exchange for the artifact, Elijah would provide Asgaroth with a rare and powerful magical tome. Asgaroth was intrigued, and after a few moments of deliberation, he agreed to the trade. The team breathed a collective sigh of relief as Asgaroth handed over the artifact, a small, ornate box adorned with intricate runes. But as they turned to leave, Asgaroth's smile grew wider. Oh, and Elijah. I almost forgot to mention, the box is booby-trapped. Good luck getting it open. The team's eyes widened in alarm as they realized they had just walked into a trap. Elijah's eyes narrowed as he examined the box. He could sense the magic emanating from it, a complex web of spells designed to prevent unauthorized access. With a swift motion, Elijah raised his hand, and a burst of magical energy shot out, enveloping the box. The runes on the box began to glow, and the air around them seemed to vibrate with magical tension. Asgaroth's smile faltered, and he took a step back, clearly impressed. Ah, Elijah, you're as good as they say. But can you open it without triggering the trap? Elijah's eyes flashed with confidence. Of course. With a delicate touch, Elijah manipulated the magical energies surrounding the box. The runes began to rearrange themselves, and the box's lid slowly creaked open. Inside, they found a small, crystal orb that pulsed with an otherworldly energy. Korra's eyes lit up, and she reached out to take the orb. But as soon as she touched it, the orb began to glow brighter, and the air around them seemed to distort. A low, ominous voice spoke, echoing in their minds. "You should not have come here," it said. "Now, you will never leave." The team exchanged worried glances. What had they just unleashed? As soon as Cora touched the crystal orb, its energy began to course through her veins. At first, she felt a rush of power and strength, but soon, her eyes took on a strange, glazed-over quality. Lyra, Elijah, and Arachne exchanged worried glances. "Cora, what's happening to you?" Lyra asked, but Cora didn't respond. Instead, she began to change. Her body began to twist and contort, her limbs elongating and morphing into dark, shadowy tendrils. Her skin turned a deep, foreboding purple, and her eyes burned with an otherworldly energy. "Cora, snap out of it!" Elijah shouted, but Cora was beyond reason. She raised her hands, and a wave of dark energy shot out, sending the team flying across the room. As they struggled to get back to their feet, Cora began to laugh, a cold, mirthless sound that sent shivers down their spines. "I am the vessel," she hissed, her voice no longer her own. "And soon, I will unleash the true power of the orb." The team knew they had to act fast. They couldn't let Cora, now a pawn of the orb's dark energy, wreak havoc on the world. Elijah knew that he had to act fast to save Cora from the orb's dark influence. He quickly gathered his thoughts and began to prepare a magical ritual to exorcise the energy from Cora's body. As he worked, Lyra and Arachne watched anxiously, ready to provide any assistance needed. Cora, still under the orb's control, glared at them with an unnatural intensity. Elijah finished his preparations and raised his hands, channeling a blast of magical energy towards Cora. The air around her seemed to shimmer and distort as the energy washed over her. At first, nothing seemed to happen. But then, Cora's body began to convulse, her limbs thrashing wildly as the dark energy fought back against Elijah's magic. The ritual continued, with Elijah pouring more and more energy into the exorcism. Slowly but surely, the dark energy began to recede, banished by Elijah's magical prowess. Finally, with a last burst of energy, the dark energy was expelled from Cora's body. She collapsed to the ground, exhausted but free from the orb's influence. As the team breathed a collective sigh of relief, Cora slowly sat up, rubbing her temples. What happened?" she asked, her voice shaking. Elijah smiled, relieved. "You were possessed by the orb's dark energy. But we managed to exorcise it." Cora's eyes widened in horror. "The orb, what have I done?" The team exchanged somber glances. They knew that the consequences of Cora's possession would be severe. As Cora struggled to come to terms with what had happened, Elijah examined the crystal orb more closely. He sensed that the orb's dark energy was not just a simple curse, but a key to unlocking a far greater and more sinister power. Suddenly, the air around them began to distort and ripple, as if reality itself was bending to accommodate a presence from another realm. A figure began to take shape before them, its form twisting and writhing like a living shadow. The team watched in horror as the figure solidified, revealing a towering monstrosity with eyes that burned with an otherworldly green fire. "Behold, the Devourer," the creature spoke in a voice that shook the very foundations of the earth. "I am the ancient evil that the orb's dark energy has awakened. And I will not rest until I have consumed all in my path." The team knew they had to act fast. They combined their strengths, unleashing a barrage of magical and physical attacks against the Devourer. But the creature was relentless, absorbing their blows and growing stronger with each passing moment. Elijah knew that they couldn't keep fighting the Devourer head-on. The creature was too powerful, and they were running out of options. With a burst of inspiration, Elijah remembered an ancient spell that could create a portal to banish the Devourer back to its own realm. The spell was complex and required immense magical energy, but Elijah was willing to try anything. "Lyra, Arachne, Cora. I need your help," Elijah shouted, as he began to chant the words of the spell. "We need to create a portal to send the Devourer back to its own realm." The team quickly rallied around Elijah, adding their own magical energies to the spell. The air around them began to shimmer and distort, as the portal started to take shape. But the devourer was not about to let them succeed. With a wave of its hand, it sent a blast of dark energy towards the team, threatening to disrupt the spell. Lyra, with her mermaid strength, stepped forward to absorb the dark energy. She raised her hands, and a shimmering barrier of water magic appeared, protecting the team from the devourer's attack. The dark energy struck Lyra's barrier, causing it to shudder and falter. But Lyra refused to give up. With a fierce determination, she poured all her energy into maintaining the barrier. Slowly, the barrier began to weaken, and Lyra stumbled backwards, her strength failing. But Elijah and the others quickly rallied around her, adding their own magical energies to reinforce the barrier. Together, they managed to hold off the devourer's attack, long enough for Elijah to complete the portal spell. The portal burst open, revealing a swirling vortex of colors that seemed to lead to another realm. The devourer, enraged at being foiled, charged towards the team. But Elijah stood firm, his eyes blazing with determination. "Go," he shouted, pushing Lyra and the others towards the portal. "I'll hold off the devourer." Elijah, with a fierce determination, raised his hands and began to chant a powerful spell. The air around him began to shimmer and distort, as he merged his magical energy with the portal. The devourer, sensing its chance to destroy Elijah, charged forward with a deafening roar. But Elijah stood firm, his magic swirling around him like a vortex. As the devourer attacked, Elijah's magic reached a critical point. He felt his consciousness expanding, merging with the portal and the magical energies that flowed through it. In a burst of light and energy, Elijah's physical form disappeared, replaced by a being of pure magical energy. The devourer was engulfed by the energy, and its dark form began to dissipate. The team, watching in awe, realized that Elijah had made the ultimate sacrifice. He had merged his consciousness with the portal, creating a powerful magical entity that would banish the devourer and restore balance to the realms. As the devourer's dark energy dissipated, the realms began to heal. The team felt a surge of hope and renewal, knowing that Elijah's sacrifice had saved them all. With the devourer defeated and the realms restored to balance, Lyra, Arachne, and Korra returned to their respective homes, hailed as heroes for their bravery. Lyra swam back to Aquaria, where she was greeted with a grand celebration. Her people cheered and wept, thanking her for saving their realm from destruction. Arachne returned to the streets of the Money Kingdom, where she was welcomed back by her fellow thieves and rogues. They celebrated her cunning and bravery, and she was hailed as a legend among her peers. Korra, meanwhile, returned to the underworld, where she was greeted with a mixture of awe and trepidation. Her fellow demons and monsters looked up to her as a hero, but they also knew that she had faced the devourer and lived to tell the tale. As for Elijah, his sacrifice was remembered and honored throughout the realms. His name became synonymous with bravery and selflessness, and his legacy lived on as a beacon of hope in the face of darkness.